Researchers have been astounded to find out that surprising and unforeseen things are happening on Neptune. Is the attendant of the profound, the last recognized head planet from the Sun? Based the god of unlimited ocean past the interior Sun framework that denotes the shore of the dark profundities of interstellar space? Neptune wasn't found till 1846, regardless, having a width for cases that of Earth and being 45 billion kilometers away from us, causing it to show up little and faint even to compelling telescopes. At some place of the past quite a while, researchers have seen emotional adjustments in the planet's air. Furthermore, its most recent changes have researchers included. What's going on with Neptune and the way might this at any point have a harming impact on our standard lives? Licenses figure out. Neptune isn't something you focus a great deal about. Is it just not as frequently as the other planets? Photos of Jupiter's mists and Mars' floor are frequently outfitted by utilizing space robots. Mercury is habitually faulted for a soothsaying darling's horrible days, despite the fact that Mercury being in retrograde is only an optical deception in our evening time sky. The Cassini rocket circled Saturn for 13 whole years prior to colliding with the planet, finishing its celebrated run of perceptions. Besides, planetary researchers have said that NASA should supply zenith points of reference to sending a test to Uranus in the oncoming 10 years. In truth, Neptune's fast presence in the titles because of another review as to makes Neptune so blue was uncommon. Even that discovery in understanding, consistent with Patrick Irwin, the examination's lead essayist and a planetary physicist at Oxford College, was inadvertent. Irwin asserted that his group's motivation was to dissect the environments of Neptune and Uranus as a substitute than to research the specific puzzle of Neptune's dazzling look. This is the way the two ice Goliaths, so named because analysts assume the planets had been at first glommed on the whole from frosty substances, are routinely researched. They're more or less a similar size, bigger than Earth but smaller than Jupiter and Saturn, and share various different qualities. They are planets without surfaces that have airs produced using hydrogen, helium, and a limited quantity of methane. Researchers believe that underneath outrageous stress, profound inner these devices, precious stones are being molded while carbon molecules are compacted. Science has already respected that the methane in Neptune's and Uranus airs, which absorbs the purple shades of approaching sunlight and leaves blues and greens for our eyes to see, gives them their for the most part somewhat blue appearance. Anand and his amigos established that a specific layer of methane cloudiness on Uranus is 2 times as thick as its miles on Neptune, although if there were no fog, Owen asserted these airs could be definitely blue. They get paler when dimness is presented. The researchers guess that Neptune's environmental elements, which are more tempestuous, are better ideal to working up methane particles and downsizing the emission. Because of this, Neptune is the bluest planet in our Sun-based contraption, while Uranus is a mild sea blue, making them the best evaluation for our most undervalued planets. Neptune could, in principle, be equipped for revel in its capability inside the inestimable arrangement as the planet that is furthest from the Sun-based. In any case, every individual is by the by discussing whether Pluto considers an undeniable planet or not, regardless of dropping its capability inside the very last situation in 2006 when planetary researchers aren't squabbling about that. They are looking throughout Planet 9, a fanciful planet that is said to circle the Sun past Neptune and whose ways of life may need to give a clarification to the surprising circles of some remote divine planets. Assuming NASA heeds the guidance of the logical organization and sends a rocket to Uranus inside the approaching years, Neptune may be the main planet individuals haven't yet visited on an exceptional test. It was only after space experts noticed that Uranus, which were found by telescope in 1781, transformed into being pulled roughly in its circle by utilizing the gravity of an unexplored world, heavenly edge that they analyzed. It was there, in the end, found in 1846. Neptune transformed into noticed precisely where researchers had anticipated. NASA's Explorer to shuttle showed up in 1989, a couple of years and mechanical enhancements later, zooming past Neptune and the end for all on a stupendous visit through the outer planets. We got a close-up perspective on a flawlessly blue globe, its moons, and its gems during the flyby. Without a doubt, Neptune has rings, in spite of the way that not as gorgeous as Saturn's. They truly do exist and have been developed from little stone and residue sections. From that point forward, no rocket has arrived on Neptune, since Uranus is closer and would be easier for our space robots to reach. Planetary researchers presently suggested picking one ice huge over the opposite to NASA investigating planets that take such a long time to circle the Sun, 84 years for Uranus and an incredible 165 years for Neptune, bears the cost of this sort of challenge. Without a doubt, an engaged undertaking to Uranus that arrived in the mid-2030s could development our insight of both ice monsters, yet doesn't as a matter of fact supply Neptune its due. The last planets inside the Sun-powered gadget have a totally novel history and quirks that are dazzling and perplexing all by themselves and meriting our designated consideration. An assortment of Hubble Space Telescope perceptions of the monster planet Neptune famous that a huge dull tempest, seething in its northern side of the equator, became moving south while it made a sharp U-turn and began moving back north. Likewise, it would have given birth to a youthful darkish tropical storm inside the technique. The term ice Goliath alludes to Neptune, which is basically a monstrous chunk of hydrogen and helium fuel that likewise conveys various methane, alkali, and different particles for authentic thought processes. Planetary researchers in any case converse with these particles as ices, despite the fact that they're slices. Neptune is the main planet. This is the farthest from the sunlight based, a good ways off of 4.5 billion kilometers, multiple times the measurement of Earth. Researchers had been stunned through the photos Explorer 2. Back after passing with the guide of Neptune in 1989, it found a major oval darkish storm, the size of Earth, inside the planet's southern half of the globe. The awesome darkish spot, so named as it had the quickest twist at any point recorded inside the Sun-based gadget with wind speeds of exceptional 2,100 kilometers in accordance with hour. Yet, the spot changed into gone while Hubble found Neptune in 1994. Poof! Vanished. There is absolute certainty that Neptune storms create over more limited terms than the ones on Jupiter, wherein the first-rate purple spot has continued on for many years. As an illustration, a little dim fix in Neptune's southern half of the globe was situated in the indistinguishable 1994 Hubble perceptions. This dull spot should have molded between Explorer's flyby and the Hubble pics. From that point forward, Hubble has tracked down a few additional dark spots. They develop at mid-scopes in each half of the globe and by and large tend to transport inside the way of the equator. However, they face specific death toll if they do that as a consequence of the Coriolis influence, which states that the speed of a planet's pivot changes with range. With a most extreme on the equator and a base at the posts, air streaming outward from a gigantic high-squeeze gadget or inward toward a low-press one will reason the framework to begin pivoting as it meets air moving at exceptional velocities toward the north and south. As these Neptunian storms pass that way, the Coriolis impact debilitates toward the equator, making them block. The larger part of these tempests appear to become there. Not this time in September 2018, Hubble noticed a secretive tempest in Neptune's northern half of the globe. The whole mainland US could effortlessly fit inside this huge, north of 7,000 kilometers wide object, which supposedly was voyaging south. However, reviews made in January 2020 uncovered that the tempest's southern movement had been yet again switched and was currently headed north. Neptune is a mystery to researchers who concentrate on it. But there's more. This storm has been related to two further odd events. One is that it seemed to have made a more modest dull typhoon at the time it changed its mind and started moving north again. This is supposed to happen by some PC reenactments of Neptune's biological system, particularly as an enormous tempest starts to scatter towards the equator. While it could drop more modest vortices, despite the fact that it wasn't straightforwardly seen, since the perception was separated excessively far separated. The fact that this happened makes it possible in this occasion. It might have moved, heading because of that as per certain hypotheses. Shockingly, not at all like pretty much every other dim typhoon, this one doesn't have striking white mists orbiting its edges. These methane ice gem mists are exceptionally intelligent and seem white in imaging. Winds convey methane gas up the slants of the dull typhoon's high-pressed framework, which looks like how much air in the environment. Here, the methane cools further and takes shape into ice orographic mists, which happen when water-rich air pushes up the side of a mountain, cools, and consolidates to make mists. These are customary on Earth. Pictures from 2019 showed the remarkable white mists, although they evaporated toward the start of this current year. The unconventional way of behaving of the dark tropical storm is likely connected with this or perhaps not, because of its distance. Neptune is difficult to examine and perceive what's happening there, in light of the fact that of the climate's quick changes. Neptune furthermore has Triton, a plane-sized worldwide with an unmistakable cold surface that is taken from a close-by area a long period of time prior. Triton is one of the greatest charming moons inside the Sun gadget. As was beforehand referenced, Explorer 2 sent back its sole close-up picture to us in 1989, yet this year JWST zeroed in on the faraway planet, sending back the absolute best pictures of moons and studs we have found in the beyond 30 years. Methane, smelling salts, and water are among a few synthetic compounds found inside Neptune. Since methane additionally retains infrared gentle, Neptune shows up particularly faint in JWST photographs. Methane is generally excellent at engrossing pink light, giving the planet a cold appearance of a rich blue. It does, however, have methane ice mists at high heights, which, in contrast with the vaporous design, are exceptionally intelligent and appear to be splendid. Similar to tempests on Jupiter, they show up at different scopes over the more deeply cloud deck. Neptune has various adornments like the other three huge planets. These studs are probably made of ice garbage, which has been shrouded in various particles that give them a ruddy appearance. This makes them more brilliant in infrared frequencies and makes them visible in the JWST image. You can likewise see Neptune circling 12 minor moons. Pro-2 is a bit more than 400 kilometers in width. While most are little and sporadically formed, estimating under 200 kilometers in width, as you can see, a few of them are superimposed on the rings. These are called shepherd moons since it's thought that they twist and gravity might aid consolidating the adjoining ring garbage into little groups. Shouldn't something be said about that wonderful greenish-blue star? Unquestionably, it is Triton, noted prior, the biggest moon of Neptune at 2,700 kilometers wide. It's somewhat more extensive than our own moon at 2,700 kilometers but larger than Pluto. The lines going through it are diffraction spikes created when light twists around the three legs holding the optional reflection of the JWST together, as well as the hexagonal state of its part reflects. It shows up brilliant since it is canvassed in frozen nitrogen, which is exceptionally reflective. A larger source, for example, Neptune, likewise has them, yet they are spread out and show up a lot fainter, making them hard to see. Just when the light source is tiny in a picture, what stargazers allude to as a point source, might you at any point get them this clear. Triton is a crackpot. It circles Neptune in reverse, comparable to the planet's turn, driving cosmologists to theory that it very well may be an enormous Kuiper belt object that was quite a while in the past attracted by the planet's gravity. It's hard to achieve this, and the exact cycle in this example is obscure. In this up-close perspective on Neptune, the mists and rings are all the more plainly apparent, alongside a portion of their fainter rings. It's intriguing to see that an exceptionally slender weak line circles the planet, just around its equator. The development in Neptune's climate moves from the posts towards the equator, where the gases sink and intensity up, making very like our biological system. This feeble bend is probably warmer gas that is warming up and generating infrared light. Neptune, furthermore, Triton, should be visible in this amazing wide-point view. Yet, this time, essentially everything else in the image is a foundation universe that is many millions or potentially billions of light-years away. It fills in as a beautiful reminder that Neptune is the planetary group's last significant settlement. Since an orbiter could go through years first at Uranus, prior to continuing on toward Circle, Neptune scientists are very interested in fostering a mission specifically intended to investigate the outer planets. Sending a test that stays on a planet for quite a while is the most efficient way to learn about it, as we found with Cassini at Saturn. Features go back and forth, circumstances vary, and perhaps most importantly, when researchers track down original events, they can guide the spaceship to research all the more closely. While learning new things is fundamental, a core goal allows you to remain and probably affirm their establishment. We additionally discovered that an example from the journey of flying seeing Neptune very close interestingly took into consideration disclosures like the dim tempests. But, if we want to comprehend them, we really want to go there over and over. So are we of all time going to Neptune? Clearly not with astronauts, but rather with a shuttle made solely to explore the secrets of our eighth planet. The James Webb Space Telescope, the latest space observatory in presence, is presently watching the ice Goliath and ought to produce further, beforehand hopeless information about the makeup of its environment. Anyway, it's not something similar as being in orbit. By that norm, we have no data of Neptune and most likely never will. An ongoing test plan for an orbiter to Neptune called for an initial dispatch in 2033 and an arrival in 2049. Anyway, going to Uranus first could mean postponing the timescale by at least 10 years. The bluest planet may not get a shuttle buddy until well into the 2050s.